Hi everyone, it's Chey here, and today I'm reading the developer update for September 2024. Finishing Mori. New, the killer can now perform a Mori on the final survivor without using an offering. New, objects obstructing the camera during Mori animations will fade away. Rework, Memento Mori offerings have a new effect. Gain a large blood point bonus when performing a Mori on the final survivor. Death Note, when the finishing Mori system was tested previously, many found it and the surrounding gameplay changes to have too large of an effect on the match. We have scaled back the system to better suit what players expect from it. Killers now have the option to kill the final survivor if they choose. This will prove some visual flair and create a satisfying end to a match. Since this change would make Memento Mori offerings obsolete, we've reworked them to instead reward the killer with a large amount of blood points based on the rarity when a Mori is performed. We have also added a new mechanic which hides nearby objects when a Mori is happening to prevent rocks, crates, and other things from rudely standing in the way, so you can see these kills in all their glory. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I still have to see it in action. Teamwork, the power of two. New, this effect will linger for a few seconds when out of range. Re-entering this range before the linger time expires will maintain the effects. Change, increased range to 8, 12, 16 meters. What's 12 meters? Removed. Teamwork power of 2 no longer has a cooldown. Oh, okay. Removed. No longer deactivates when either survivor loses a health state. Death Note. This perk grants a speed boost to both survivors after healing as long as they stick together. This alone is pretty conditional, so we have removed the cooldown entirely and removed the added deactivation clause to simplify the perk and make it feel better to use. We've also increased the range slightly to make it a little easier to maintain. Teamwork, collective stealth. New, this effect will linger for a few seconds when out of range. Re-entering this range before linger time expires will maintain the effects. Change, increased range to 8, 12, 16 meters. What's 12 meters? Removed, teamwork collective stealth no longer has a cooldown. Removed, no longer deactivates when either survivor loses a health state. Death Note, we've given a similar treatment to Teamwork Collective Stealth. Healing and staying near each other is already quite the demand, so we've removed the unnecessary cooldown and health state conditions. The range will match other teamwork perks for consistency. Corrective action. Change now applies to survivors within 8 meters. Was cooperating on the same action. Change. Prevented failed skill checks now become great skill checks. Was good skill checks. Corrective action previously only prevented progress loss from other survivors' missed skill checks. This could be great when playing with a new friend, but not very useful for more experienced players. We have changed the result of the great skill check to provide a marginal progress boost whenever the perk activates, giving it some value in higher end matches. Inner focus. Change, increased aura reading duration to 6, 8, 10 seconds, was 3, 4, 5 seconds. Removed range requirement. Death Note, this perk previously required you to be within 32 meters of the survivor who loses a health state, meaning you would often know where the killer is anyway. We've removed this condition. This will make Inner Focus a useful tool for keeping track of the killer's whereabouts regardless of where they are in the map. We're gonna live forever! Change, increased healing speed bonus to 150%, was 100%. Whoa, okay. Death Note, survivors aren't left in the dying state often, so we want to make sure this perk is effective when the situation arises. Removed, endurance effect no longer needs to be activated. New, added a 30-second cooldown to the endurance effect. The endurance effect aspect of the perk, overly complicated to make use of, so we have replaced this with a cooldown instead. This cooldown only applies to the endurance effect, not the healing increase. The other perk changes, fine, whatever. This, I'm not sure how I feel about. I like this perk. I run this perk as it is. I just don't know how I feel about this. I don't think I'm a fan of that. Poised. When you first start repairing a generator, see the killer's aura for 6 seconds. Oh! Change. Increased duration to 10, 12, 14 seconds. Was 6, 8, 10 seconds. To make poise more appealing, we're introducing a new effect in addition to the original one. When you first start repairing a generator, you'll see the killer's aura. This will help keep tabs on where they are throughout the match. We've also increased the duration of the original effect to help you cover more ground without leaving tracks. Does this mean each gen that you touch, you see the killer's aura once for 6 seconds, or if I let go and come back to a gen, do I see them for 6 seconds again? I need to understand this better, but I actually see this getting some use now, but it also feels a little bit bad if perks like Fearmonger or Mindbreaker, whatever you want to call it, kind of counter this. Okay, so far these perks seem fine. I think Weak Live, potentially too strong. Poise depends if it's just once per gen, in my opinion. If it's every time like I start working on a gen, like if I let go and come back, then I think that's too strong, but this leads me to believe it's once per gen. I have to see it in action though. Blood Rush, major update, change. Blood Rush now activates for 40, 50, 60 seconds after being unhooked. Previously activated permanently when you were one hook away from death. New, Blood Rush now deactivates upon performing a conspicuous action. New, Blood Rush now deactivates when the exit gates are powered. Removed, Blood Rush no longer heals or provides the broken status effect. This perk had a lot of effects and an equally strict set of conditions. We have simplified it to focus on the exhaustion recovery, which tended to be the main appeal of the perk. To allow this effect to happen more often, Blood Rush now activates for a set duration after you are unhooked. Killers will want to be careful not to chase Blood Rush users after they are unhooked, since they will be harder to catch. This effect will be disabled if the survivor performs a conspicuous action or if the exit gates are powered. I think that's fine. I think. A lot of these, I feel like I have to see them in play. Quick Gambit. New, when chased, see the auras of other survivors. Huh? New, Quick Gambit now has a 60-second cooldown upon losing a health state. Change. Reduced repair speed bonus to 3, 4, 5% was 6, 7, 8. Removed. Repair speed bonus no longer has a limited range. Quick Gambit previously required survivors to lead the killer toward the generator in order to get any benefit. This was very risky and often resulted in the killer chasing those survivors instead. This perk no longer has a range requirement and now shows the auras of other survivors, so you can do the opposite, keep the killer away from them. To balance this out, Quick Gambit will now go on cooldown upon losing a health state, making it more challenging to keep active and providing the killer a way to play around it. Huh! That is a change I didn't see coming. I feel like seeing other survivors' auras is really strong with this. I don't know. I like what they're going for, and I know that they want to provide like a more variety of perks for survivors to use, and I like running this perk as it is already, so I'll probably definitely be running it. I usually run it with Bond. Now I don't need to run Bond. Yeah, that's kind of a lot, but like I said, I want to see this in action. Distortion! The changes we've all been wondering about. Rework. Distortion no longer has tokens and instead deactivates once used until the next time you are chased. Increased duration to 8, 10, 12 seconds was 6, 8, 10 seconds. Huh. So you could have lethal and they don't get distortion back until they're chased once. Huh. Dev note, distortion counters a lot of person add-ons. The token system recharge mechanic makes distortion far too effective and allows survivors to go unseen for the entire match. To limit its effectiveness, we've removed the token system and made it so distortion only reactivates upon being chased. We have extended the duration slightly to help account for longer aura reading effects to compensate. Ooh. Like... I'm trying to word how I feel. I feel like no one's gonna run this anymore. That's how I feel. I feel like they could have kept the token system and then had it recharge after your chase or in chase. Because I feel like only having one like activation until you're chased is like, I don't know. Yeah, I just don't see people using this. Lucky Star. Change. Now suppresses grunts of pain and pools of blood as long as you are in the locker. This effect lingers for 30 seconds after exiting the locker, once 10 seconds. Removed. No longer reveals survivors or generator auras. Dev note. Lucky Star's short duration often meant it would wear off before the killer left the area. It will now stay active as long as you are in the locker and linger for a set duration after you leave. I feel like distortion gamers are gonna switch to Lucky Star. Killer perks. Genetic limits. Rework. Anytime a survivor loses a health state, they suffer from exhaustion for 6, 7, 8 seconds. Oh my god. They just said, fuck your dead hard. They said, take your dead hard and shove it up your butt. Genetic limits previously affected survivors who healed, which often led to the exhausted effect expiring before they could be chased. It will now apply to survivors who lose a health state instead, but with a shorter duration. This will provide more consistent value, though skilled survivors may be able to outlast the effect. Leverage. Rework. When a survivor performs an unhook, their healing speed is reduced by 30, 40, 50% for 30 seconds. Dev note, leverage used to gain strength as the match went on. This made leverage ineffective early on, often only becoming effective when the match was nearly won anyways. We have reworked it to be much simpler and provide consistent value. Leverage now discourages survivors from healing directly under the hook. Thwack. Rework. Thwack now starts with 3 tokens. Gain 1 token upon hooking a survivor. When breaking a pallet or breakable wall, consume 1 token and cause a survivor within 24 meters to scream and reveal their location for 3, 4, 5 seconds. Dev note, thwack used to only activate once per hook, leading it to often being wasted. By introducing tokens, killer can store these uses for later and potentially use it more than once in a chase. I like this. Good change. Machine learning. Change. The most recent damage generator becomes compromised. Dev note, machine learning previously required you to damage 1 generator to activate it, then another to compromise it. This made it awkward to use. To simplify this, the most recently damaged generator will always be compromised. Only 1 generator can be compromised at a time. Deathbound. Removed. Deathbound no longer has a distance requirement to activate. Removed. Deathbound no longer has a duration and instead deactivates when the healer is hooked. This burst range condition made it inconsistent to use. To simplify it and give it a nice boost in strength, we've removed both the range and the duration requirements. Zanshin Tactics. Rework. When a survivor is within 6 meters of a dropped pallet within 6 meters of your location, their aura is revealed for 6, 8, 10 seconds. What? Revealing pallets and windows was much less useful for killers than survivors since the killer is present every time a pallet is broken. We've reworked this perk to instead reveal survivors' auras near dropped pallets. This will provide some useful info during a chase and allow for some interesting mind games. I just don't understand. It's like there was aura reading everywhere, so behavior changed distortion to make it better. Now they're like, oh, distortion's too strong, so now they're changing distortion. But now everything has aura reading. There's so much aura reading on the survivors. Like the survivors can see the killer like when they touch a gen, when like they have the Belmont perk that makes it so it's like lethal pursuer but for a survivor, like aura reading. And then they add like Zanshin Tactics like aura reading. Like what? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. Am I gonna run Zanshin? No. I find seeing all the like palettes and windows like overwhelming. It's too much information for me personally when I'm playing killer. It like overstimulates me. I don't like it. But I could see people actually running this and making mind games a bit, you know, easier to do for the killer. Deadman switch minor update. Now applies only to the first survivor who stops repairing a generator. How is this minor? Increased duration to 40, 45, 50 seconds. Was 20, 25, 30 seconds. You don't want to run DMS pain res pop together. Because the gen that you're going to want to pop will be blocked for so freaking long. If they were working on it and it got pain res. The note, Deadman Switch provides a very powerful effect, but can sometimes get out of hand when combined with other perks. We have changed it to activate only on the first survivor who stops repairing to limit how powerful it can be, and increase its duration to compensate. This can make it harder for like a survivor team to know that the killer has Deadman Switch. Like let's say I'm solo queue and my teammate lets go first. I don't know that their gen's blocked. Like my gen doesn't get blocked if I let go. This seems interesting. I like when they shake up perks like this. Even if I don't like, even if on paper I'm like, huh, that sounds weird. Like I do want to see all these in action. I personally don't really run this perk anymore. I don't know if people are still going to run it. I feel like it might not be worth it. I'm hoping that we get like a buff to Thrilling Tremors, right? I'm really like I feel like Thrilling Tremors could be so cool if the cooldown was not as long. Blood Echo removed. Blood Echo no longer has a cooldown. Oh my god, a bug just flew into my eye. Change. Reduce duration to 20, 25, 30 seconds. Death Note. Blood Echo previously had a cooldown. This felt unnecessary since the requirement of hooking a survivor itself spaced out its activations. This has been removed, allowing the perk to activate more frequently and reduce the duration slightly to compensate. Hex Crowd Control. Rework. The last 3, 4, 5 vaults, which survivors rush vault, are blocked by the entity. This lasts until the hex totem is cleansed. So the last 5 vaults that survivor vaults is blocked. Huh. In vault heavy areas, it was possible for survivors to outlast the effect by linking together multiple windows. Going forward, the most recently vaulted window will be blocked until the hex is cleansed. That seems good. Like, that's strong. Is that too strong? Is that too strong? Am I crazy for thinking that's a little... That's a little too strong. Listen, I play a lot of killer recently. I'm a survivor main, right? But I play a lot of killer. That feels a little strong. Predator. Rework. When a survivor escapes a chase, reveal their aura for 6 seconds. This perk then goes on cooldown for 60, 50, 40 seconds. More aura reading. Predators always cause mixed feelings. Some feel like tighter scratch marks make tracking easier. Others find it makes finding survivors harder. You've given this a new effect which should be more useful for all. Those struggling to keep track of survivors will find Predator handy for giving them a second chance. Meanwhile, more experienced players may find some use by intentionally breaking chase. I don't know. I'm not going to use that perk ever. I just don't know if I like the direction that like everything's going with aura reading. I'm an aura reading enjoyer, but like damn, like every add-on, every perk has aura reading now. Killer updates to Skull Merchant. If you guys didn't know, I like Skull Merchant. I said it, I like playing as her. I don't mind going against her. I like Skull Merchant, and I really hope they don't completely destroy her, but I'm going to assume they did because of how much this community hates her and bitches about her. The Skull Merchant medium update. Change. Decreased hindered penalty when scanned by a drone to 5% was 10%. Okay, that's fine. Removed. Skull Merchant no longer gains haste when scanning a survivor. What? What? Dude, you guys want her to like be chase oriented, right? It's like, what incentive does she have to be a chase killer if she's not getting the speed boost? She's just a basic M1 killer that sometimes breaks you, and if you stay at a loop for way too freaking long, then you get hindered. Oh no. No, these two effects combined seem to create a huge speed difference between the killer and survivors. We have removed one and toned down the other to a fair level. Change. Reduce the number of drone scan lines to 1. Was 2. What? So not only does she not get a speed boost anymore, which was her incentive for chasing, she only has 1 scan line. Drones are now always in their active state. Drone scan lines are now invisible beyond 16 meters. Being unable to see drone scan lines made them very difficult to play around accordingly. Scan lines will now always be visible when nearby and invisible when out of range. Additionally, we have reduced the number of scan lines per drone to allow for more counterplay. They gutted her. They ruined her. They ruined her. I'm sure you guys are all rejoicing. I'm sure everyone's rejoicing. I'm not. I'm sad. Now she's a basic M1 killer with a shit power. I mean, I'll play so much Skull Merchant until the update. The Hillbilly minor update. Change. Decreased time before overdrive starts to dissipate to 8 seconds was 15 seconds. Change. Decreased overdrive movement speed to 11.5 meters a second was 13 meters a second. Change. Decreased overdrive charges gained while revving and sprinting to 1.5 seconds was 2 a second. Increased chainsaw miss attack cooldown to 2.7 seconds was 2.5 seconds. Death Note, it's been great seeing Billy's rise in popularity. Now that he's had some time to settle, we've identified a few aspects of his new overdrive mechanic that could use some fine-tuning. Overdrive tended to kick in very frequently, staying active for a large portion of the match. These changes will make the overdrive mechanic a little less common and provide less of a speed boost when it's active. We've also increased the miss attack cooldown slightly to make it harder to follow up a missed chainsaw with a basic attack. The twins. Change. Increased Victor's cooldown when crushed to 20 seconds was 15 seconds. Change. Increased cooldown after Victor's downs a survivor to 3.2 seconds was 2.7 seconds. Following their update earlier this year, the twins saw a sharp increase in lethality. To keep them in check, we have slightly increased how long it takes for Victor to recover after downing a survivor. We have also slightly increased how long it takes for Victor to become available after being crushed by a survivor to make it more impactful when a survivor manages to pull it off. Okay, whatever. The Unknown! New HUD update to display the teleport cooldown and hallucination spawn time. Movement speed now decreases sooner when charging your power. Okay. Increased teleport recovery speed by 15%. Adjustments to blurry photo and vanishing box add-ons. The 2 add-ons that I run. Change improved visual and audio feedback when using UVX. We tend to revisit killers a few months after they release and see if they need any balance changes. It turns out the Unknown is already in a pretty good spot and is well liked by players. So that makes our job easy this time around. Tapping the power button can postpone a hallucination from spawning, but to a survivor it looks as if you're about to launch UVX. This forces survivors to constantly dodge and lose distance without slowing down the killer. We have reduced the window before the killer slows down while charging their power. This will make it harder to tap the power button without slowing down while focusing on a chase. We've noticed that the blurry photo add-on is a fan favorite, so we have incorporated part of its effect into the base kit and turned it down to compensate. This will allow more freedom to experiment with other add-ons without missing it. We've also toned down the vanishing box add-on, which was on the stronger side, by adding a trade-off to increase hallucination spawn time. Lastly, we've improved the VFX and SFX while using the UVX. That's a lot of X's. This does not affect balance, but will make it clear to newer unknown players that hitting a survivor with a blast is how you apply weakened and deal damage, not with airborne hits. Until next time, the Dead by Daylight team. I think a lot of these changes are good. I also think a lot of them might be a little too over the top. These, I'd have to see them in action, corrective action, whatever, that's fine. Inner focus. Okay, that's fine. We're gonna live forever might be too strong. I think weak lift might be too strong. Poised depends if it's every time you touch a gen or if it's the only like the first time you ever touch a generator. Blood rush, I'd have to see it. Quick gambit, I feel like it's kind of crazy that you see your survivor, like your teammates when you're in chase. Like that's crazy to me. I don't know. I'm gonna run this perk and test it, definitely. Distortion, I feel like it's not good anymore. I feel like most people aren't going to run it. I feel like it kind of got gutted. And with how many how much aura reading is being added to killer perks and add-ons, I don't like how they did this rework. I feel like there still should have been a token system and you just gain tokens back like after being in chase. Or like while you're in chase. I don't know. Lucky Star, people might actually run this now. Like people who were stealthing with Distortion might run Lucky Star with like Calm Spirit, Iron Will, and stuff like that. Like Quick and Quiet maybe, who knows. This is kind of... Genetic Limits is interesting. I think it's specifically to counter Dead Hard. Leverage, probably to counter like all the quick healing that recently was added. I like the thwack rework, that's good. Machine learning, yeah, that's fine. Deathbound, I don't know, it's interesting. I'd have to see it in action. Stanchion tactics, I don't like aura reading just being slapped on every perk. I don't know. I don't like that. EMS, I think this is more than a minor update. This is like fundamentally changes this perk, I feel like. Maybe I'm just being dramatic, but you know. Blood Echo, yeah, that's fine. Crowd control might be too strong, honestly. I feel like, I mean, I guess it incentivizes survivors going for an alternative besides just working on gens. Predator, once again, don't like aura reading just being slapped onto perks. Skull Merchant, they gutted her. They gutted her. Whoa, my bad. This is awful. Billy, yeah, this is fine, I think. This is fine, I think. This is fine. Alright. I want to hear what you guys think about the changes. Please let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.